Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're zooming in on Toyota Motor Corporation, the world's largest automaker, during what can really only be described as a crucible year. We're specifically zeroing in on 2026. This was a year where this massive global entity found itself navigating some truly unprecedented challenges. From absolutely staggering financial hits caused by global conflicts to multi-billion-dollar manufacturing transformations, 2026 is, without a doubt, a pivotal moment in automotive history. We're going to unpack exactly how Toyota defended its global dominance against an absolute onslaught of external pressures.
Okay, let's dive into this. $9 billion, or roughly 1.38 trillion yen, that is the amount stripped directly from Toyota's operating income. And here's the crazy part. This staggering financial blow didn't come from a lack of consumer demand or, poor vehicle design. Nope, it was a direct consequence of punishing U.S. tariffs. It's an incredible number, right? And it immediately frames the severity of the macroeconomic environment Toyota's operating in right now.
And what makes this all even more intense is that these immense external geopolitical pressures are pressing down on the company at the exact moment that a defining era of legacy leadership came to an end. On August 8, 2026, former Chairman Hiroshi Okuda passed away at 93. Known widely throughout the industry as the father of the Prius, Okuda was a foundational legend. His passing is highly symbolic, marking the definitive end of the era that literally built the modern Toyota right as the company faces these new existential challenges.
So, here is our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start with 1, end of an era, then 2, the double hit, move to 3, the financial rebound, cover 4, new leadership, proven strategy, and finish up with 5, betting big on America. Let's get to it.
Section 1. End of an Era. The Legacy of Hiroshi Okuda.
Hiroshi Okuda's timeline here really gives us the foundation of Toyota's modern strength. Serving as president back in the late 1990s, he made the bold decision to pioneer the hybrid revolution. He essentially forced the Prius to market when loud critics were basically saying it couldn't be done. Then, moving into the chairman role in the early 2000s, he transformed Toyota into the undisputed global powerhouse we know today. It's precisely this legacy of bold, paradigm-shifting decisions that the current leadership has to draw upon as they defend the global position that Okuda helped build.
All right, Section 2, the double hit, tariffs and geopolitics.
When we look at the specific causes behind their 21.5% profit decline, the reality is pretty stark. First, U.S. tariffs forced Toyota's North American operations to swing entirely into an operating loss of 192.5 billion yen. Second, the conflict in Iran and the subsequent disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz are estimated to cost the company an additional 510 billion yen. These are massive geopolitical realities dictating global commerce, and Toyota is absorbing that impact directly on its balance sheets.
So you might be wondering, how do these numbers translate into actual physical operations? Well, the Iran conflict essentially closed off traditional shipping routes, forcing Toyota to detour its logistics entirely around the Cape of Good Hope. That detour literally doubled their logistics lead times. The consequence of that? Toyota was forced to cut up to 100,000 vehicles from its overseas production schedule by February 2027. Think about that. That's 100,000 cars that cannot be built and sold simply because the supply chain has to travel thousands of extra miles.
Moving to Section 3, the financial rebound, fighting back.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is where the macroeconomic winds actually blew in Toyota's favor. Despite the tariffs and the supply chain nightmares we just talked about, first quarter operating income still came in at a very solid 1.06 trillion yen. How did they pull that off? Well, a historically weak yen, calculated at 160 to the US dollar, combined with incredibly strong sales of hybrid vehicles, meant that overseas earnings converted into significantly more yen back home in Japan. This powerful tailwind allowed Toyota to actually upgrade its full-year forecast by 13%, up to 3.4 trillion yen.
And armed with that upgraded forecast, Toyota made a massive defensive maneuver on August 4, 2026. They announced a 1 trillion yen stock buyback. In the middle of an incredibly turbulent year, dropping $6.35 billion to buy back your own stock, that is a huge defensive statement of strength to the market.
Accounting chief Takanori Azuma explained the move directly, stating, "Given current stock market conditions, our intention is to show our commitment to providing solid returns." This really humanizes the financial strategy, doesn't it? It shows that Toyota's leadership is deliberately projecting confidence, effectively telling investors that despite global geopolitical chaos, the company is fundamentally sound and fully capable of rewarding its shareholders.
On to Section 4, New Leadership, Proven Strategy. In April 2026, Kenta Kon officially stepped in as Toyota's 13th president. Now, stepping into the chief executive role during a period of intense profit decline and massive supply chain disruption is no small task. However, President Kon immediately made it clear that he isn't reinventing the wheel. He is firmly building on Chairman Akio Toyoda's core philosophy of creating ever better cars as the sole pathway to sustainable, long-term growth.
And the core mechanism for achieving that growth is the multi-pathway approach. While you've likely seen competitors betting their entire companies on full electric vehicles, Toyota is deliberately holding a diversified portfolio. They are continuing aggressive development across 4 distinct pillars: traditional internal combustion engines, hybrid electric vehicles, full electric vehicles, and hydrogen fuel cell technology. By maintaining this diversified portfolio, Toyota ensures it can survive and adapt no matter how consumer demand or global regulations shift. It's not putting all its eggs in one basket.
President Kenta Kon summed up this aggressive stance perfectly, telling shareholders, "We are becoming a company that is able to keep pressing the gas pedal on growth investment without applying the brakes." I love that automotive metaphor. It signals to the market that even amid $9 billion tariff hits, Toyota absolutely refuses to stall its forward momentum or cut its research and development. And this brilliantly illustrates how they are funding that forward momentum. Kon is leaning heavily on Toyota's legendary secret weapon, Kaizen. But he's accelerating it. Kon is physically sending employees out of the corporate headquarters and directly down to the factory front lines. The goal here is to aggressively root out supply chain inefficiencies on the ground and boost profitability margin by margin, vehicle by vehicle. It's an incredibly pragmatic, roll-up-your-sleeves way to fight modern inefficiencies. Section 5. Betting big on America.
In July 2026, Toyota launched a massive physical counterattack right here in the United States, announcing a $3.6 billion expansion of its plant in San Antonio, Texas. And the scale here is incredible. They're adding an entire second assembly line, creating 2,000 new local jobs, and committing to completely doubling the physical size of the facility by 2030. This perfectly demonstrates how high-level international geopolitics and tariff wars directly dictate massive local domestic manufacturing investments on the ground.
Let's move to and see how this builds into a fascinating, almost ironic new global logistics model. Toyota is essentially flipping parts of its supply chain. The Tacoma pickup truck, which previously faced complications being built in Mexico, is shifting its production entirely to this new Texas facility. But even more fascinating, US-made Camry sedans will now be reverse imported back into Japan to the tune of 10,000 units annually starting in fall 2026. So they are literally utilizing American manufacturing to supply the Japanese domestic market, a move specifically engineered to navigate and balance out trade restrictions.
The intent behind this massive American investment was made crystal clear by Chairman Akio Toyoda, who stated, "If this move helps improve the trade balance to some extent, there is a hope the tariff issue will be re-examined further. It's a calculated bet." By investing $3.6 billion directly into the American economy, Toyota's leadership hopes they can alter the political arithmetic just enough to ease that crippling $9 billion tariff burden holding back their North American operations.
So when we synthesize all this information, the reality of 2026 becomes incredibly stark. Toyota is facing a third consecutive year of profit decline. They're navigating billions in tariffs, absorbing massive costs from Middle East conflict delays, and fighting off fierce competition from Chinese EV makers like BYD. Yet, as we've seen, their response is not retreat. Through their multi-pathway strategy, massive American manufacturing bets, and billion-dollar stock buybacks, Toyota is aggressively positioning itself for the long game.
Which leaves us with the ultimate question to ponder. Will Toyota's legendary historical resilience, built by leaders like Hiroshi Okuda, be enough to conquer this unprecedented new era of geopolitical automotive competition? It's a fascinating situation to monitor, and understanding the mechanics behind these billion-dollar decisions is absolutely vital for anyone watching the global economy. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I hope this deep dive into Toyota's crucible year helps you grasp the incredible complexities of the modern automotive industry. Keep learning and always keep looking at the data behind the headlines.